So you've got a Bitless bridle and you can't horse. Now you've got to figure out how to fit them together. While for most horses, this process is fairly simple, the long-term success and failure of it can depend largely on the sort of foundation that you have with your horse. Our relationship with our horses is usually divided into two parts, from the saddle and on the ground. The simple question is, how is your relationship with your horses in both areas? Because your transition to Bitless can be affected by this. If your horse chooses to come to you in the field and he's happy and relaxed on the saddle, the chances are quite good that you could put a Bitless bridle on today and he'll take to it like there's no change. Also, even if you're not super connected to your horse, but he's pretty happy-go-lucky and fairly obedient, you could probably get away with just putting the bridle on and riding as usual, and he will behave as if there's no real difference. If your horse runs away from you, ignores you, or faults off with you when you're under saddle, you might find you have a harder time trying to train the horse. And sometimes it's actually the horses that are the opposite of that are the hardest to train. Sometimes it's the ones that seem a bit slow and stupid that are a little bit more difficult to train to Bitless. If your horse falls into one of the last two categories, you might want to have a look at the foundation of your training. Some horses have never had a caring rider that gives attention to any of the feedback that they give. So they've never showed that they're in pain and had the person come out and call a saddle fitter, or show that they're exhausted and have the person call a session short, or show that they're anxious and had the person calm them down. So they've learned to tune out to the rider or to escalate their actions either by becoming really fast or becoming really slow, just to try to get some sort of reaction out of the rider. Of course, there are other responses and there are other reasons for those responses that I'm not going to get into here. But the bottom line is that if you have some sort of problem like this, you have a patchy foundation, and you then need to go back and figure out ways to patch that foundation so you can come back together as a stronger team. You ideally want to find a way to reconnect with your horse and have it looking for your information, looking to connect with you, looking for your signals, and wanting to do what you ask. That means you need to go back and reconnect. And some people can find that switching to Bitless is a transition tool to start this process, but you need to understand that it is a process. Bitless could be viewed as one step in a path, and you need to use multiple steps in order to complete the journey. So yes, you can use it like that, but don't view it as a band-aid that's a cure-all that's going to suddenly fix your relationship with your horse, because it's not going to do that on its own. It can just be a tool that helps to start that process along. There is no magic band-aid that will make your horse instantly trust you. Just like with people, trust is something that's earned. It takes time for your horse to figure out that you're always going to be worthy of its trust. You're always going to protect it. You're always going to look after it. If you're working with a green unbacked horse, you are working with an unknown entity, and therefore you need to take the same sort of precautions that you would take if you were starting a horse any other way. With that in mind, I would like to suggest the following 3 basic rules when you're going Bitless. Rule number 1. Safety first. I shouldn't have to say this, but some people don't seem to believe in things like helmets and safety gear, so I'm just going to put it out there. Rule number 2. Assess how much training your horse needs. Always seek ways to help your horse to enjoy your company both on and off his back. Rule number 3. Always start in a small area and then gradually expand the environment and the stimulus that you give your horse over time. Rule number 4. Always make sure that your horse understands and is willing to stop and turn before you increase any demands. In the next video, we'll be looking at the first thing that you can teach your horse when you go Bitless.
Stop floating! The chances are that...